Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Always exciting to be back.
This time we're diving into some, let's say, unconventional wisdom for growing a podcast.
Yeah, definitely unconventional.
Which, let's face it, is something we all want, really.
Absolutely. Growth is the name of the game, isn't it? And the source we're looking at today really digs into those strategies you don't hear every day,
Right, right. It's not just the typical post consistently engage with your listeners advice.
Mhm.
We're talking next level stuff here.
Exactly. The stuff that makes a podcast truly stand out. It's about what makes a podcast truly stand out.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The first thing that jumped out to me was this whole idea of having a strong value proposition.
Right off the bat, yeah.
Like, it's not enough to just exist in the podcasting world, is it?
Definitely not. This source makes it crystal clear just hitting that record button, that's not going to cut it. You got to give people a reason to tune in.
So it's about more than just having great content.
Content is crucial, don't get me wrong, but it's bigger than that. This source uses this really interesting example, a true crime podcast, and it totally blew up, right?
Okay, I'm intrigued.
But it wasn't the stories themselves, it was the delivery. Super dry, almost like weirdly deadpan, totally unexpected for the genre.
Oh, wow. I can see how that would be captivating, though, right?
Exactly. People were drawn in because it was so different. It made you lean in and go, wait, what is this?
It's like, what's this all about? I'm intrigued. You've got to create that intrigue.
Bang on. And that intrigue, that's what sets the successful podcasts apart, right? This source is all about figuring out that unique angle, the thing that makes your podcast yours, and then owning it.
And that, I think, leads perfectly into the next point, creating those captivating teasers.
Oh, yeah, the art of the tease.
And I don't just mean like announcing a new episode. This is about making people really feel like they need to listen to this.
It's about building anticipation, like a movie trailer for a huge blockbuster.
Yes. I love that analogy. You're not giving the whole plot away, but those little hints, those cliffhangers.
You've got to leave them wanting more. And you know what? This source takes it even a step further, suggesting you bring those unexpected twists and cliffhangers even to the shorter content, like, your Instagram Reels, TikTok, all that.
Oh, interesting. Keep them guessing, even in those bite-sized pieces.
Exactly. A little taste to keep them coming back for more, right?
Yeah, this next bit really resonated with me. Strategic partnerships.
The power of collaboration.
And before you roll your eyes, because I know we hear collaborate more all the time, this source goes deeper. It's not just about partnering with anyone. It's about finding collaborations that really make sense for both people involved.
Synergy. That's the key word. This source actually gives a really interesting example. A business podcast partnering with, get this, a finance podcast.
I mean, at first glance, you'd think those are way too similar, right?
You would. But there was just enough overlap in their audience, but with a slightly different focus in their content, that it created this perfect storm of growth for both.
That's amazing. So it's like thinking outside the box, finding those unexpected partnerships. It can lead to some wins.
Absolutely. You don't want to limit yourself by only sticking with podcasts that are exactly like yours.
Okay, so we've got this great foundation now, a strong value proposition. We're creating anticipation with these killer teasers, and we're on the lookout for those power partnerships. What else does this unconventional wisdom have in store for us?
Well, let me tell you, there's a lot more to unpack here. Well, next up on our list of unconventional wisdom, we've got conquering the social media beast.
Ah, yes, the social media beast.
And the source, it does not sugarcoat it.
Oh, really?
It straight up says, just posting your episode link and calling it a day. Yeah, not going to cut it.
Yeah, that's not enough. I think we've all seen those new episode up link in bio posts get buried in the scroll.
It's like talking to a brick wall sometimes.
It really is. So what's the secret then? How do we actually make social media work for us?
Well, this source is all about, going beyond those surface level interactions, right? It's about building a community around your podcast.
Okay, so it's about more than just numbers.
Way more. It's about engagement, real conversations. It even suggests, maybe share some behind the scenes stuff. Those relatable moments, what was it?
Like the time your co-host accidentally deleted an entire episode.
Okay, maybe not that, but
Yeah.
you get what I mean. Those funny mishaps, the struggles, it makes the whole thing feel more human.
Oh, for sure. Like pulling back the curtain, letting listeners see that you're just, figuring things out as you go.
Precisely. It shows that you're just like them, dealing with tech glitches and last-minute panics and all that.
Because who hasn't had a microphone completely die mid-recording?
Hmm.
Been there. Okay, now this next bit I'm really curious about, and it's something I personally struggle with. Data.
Data. The double-edged sword of podcasting.
It really is, because like on one hand you need it, right? But then it's so easy to get caught up in the downloads and the charts and start making decisions based solely on the numbers.
Oh, I totally feel you. Analysis paralysis is real, my friend.
Mhm.
But this source actually suggests a more balanced approach.
Okay, I like the sound of that already.
Yeah, it's not about ignoring the data, but it's also not about letting it completely dictate everything you do. It's about letting it inform your decisions, but not rule them, you know?
So like it's okay to trust your gut sometimes, even if the numbers aren't necessarily saying that's the right move.
Exactly. Sometimes your instincts know something the numbers don't. And in fact, the source even talks about taking calculated risks. Like, even if it goes against what conventional data-driven wisdom might say.
Oh, really? Did they give any examples of that? Because I feel like that could be a tough sell sometimes, you know? The numbers say no, but my gut says.
They do. They talk about this fiction podcast that was doing, pretty good. Not amazing, but good. And they decided on a whim, almost, to completely change their format. They went from these really long episodes to these shorter, punchier ones.
Wow, that's a big change.
Huge. And you know what? Their listenership skyrocketed.
See, I love hearing that because I feel like it's easy to get so caught up in this is the right way to do things.
The podcasting rulebook, right? Which, spoiler alert, doesn't really exist.
Exactly.
That's what this whole source is about. Embracing the unpredictable. Remembering that this industry, it's constantly changing. And the most successful podcasters, they change with it.
Adaptability. I love it. So it's okay to break the rules sometimes or maybe like rewrite them.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to experiment, to try something new, even if it scares you a little bit. Because sometimes the biggest risks lead to the biggest rewards.
I'm feeling inspired. So we've got to be adaptable, not be afraid to take risks, and remember that data is a tool, not a dictator. What else? What's the final takeaway from all of this?
The big aha moment. When I think about everything we've talked about today, it kind of boils down to this. This source really challenges us to rethink what success in podcasting really means.
It's not just about the numbers, right?
So it's so easy to get caught up in the download numbers and the charts and all that stuff.
Mm.
But this source reminds us that true success, it's about staying true to your vision, even when things get tough.
Even when those download numbers dip or you're not sure what's working.
Exactly. It's about trusting your gut, taking those risks, and creating something you're truly proud of.
So it's kind of like that old saying, be a first-rate version of yourself, not a second-rate version of someone else. But for podcasting.
100%. And it goes beyond just finding your niche, right? It's about believing in what you're doing, even when it feels like no one else does.
Because at the end of the day, it's about connecting with your listeners on a deeper level, creating something meaningful.
Absolutely. And that takes guts, and takes putting yourself out there, being vulnerable, and being okay with not always getting it right.
And I think that's a really important message, especially for new podcasters who might be feeling overwhelmed or discouraged.
Comparison is the thief of joy, right?
Right.
So focus on your own journey, your own voice, your own vision.
Well said. So there you have it, folks. Another deep dive in the books.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
We've covered a ton today, from crafting that killer value proposition to conquering the social media beast, all while embracing the unpredictable nature of this ever-evolving podcasting world.
And hopefully inspired you to break some rules along the way.
Yes, break the rules, take some risks, trust your gut, and never stop experimenting. Until next time, happy podcasting.